Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Motivation Monday podcast for Monday, February 19th, 2018. Welcome back. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Let's get you off to a great start this week. Before we get into the episode, just wanted to thank Rejuvenate for being our sponsor. These guys are amazing. If you're looking to end all of your frustrations when it comes to reads, make your reads last longer, make them playable right out of the case, you need to go and check out Rejuvenate. You can find them at rejuvenate.com, or you can head over to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and click on the link to get over to their website. These guys are awesome. They're definitely going to take care of you and definitely going to take care of your reads. So if you're looking to end all of the frustration that us read players feel every single day when it comes to dealing with our reads, make sure you check out Rejuvenate. It will revolutionize the storage of your reads and the playability of them right out of the case. All right, let's jump into today's episode. I got a great email from one of our longtime listeners, Bob, this week, and I'm going to read the email to you, and then we're going to talk about some of the questions that he asks and address some of this stuff that I think a lot of you are probably wondering about. So Bob writes, I absolutely agree, and I want to work on memorizing tunes, but I think that we may need a little bit more help with this. Like, am I better off trying to play the sheet music, then turning it over and seeing how far I can get, or playing a recording for, let's say, 8 bars and then trying to repeat those 8 bars and repeating it over and over and over again until I get those measures down and then move on to the next section of the tune? Also, how valuable would it be to have a keyboard next to my instrument so that I can reference it, hear some harmony, things like that? So thanks for this email, Bob. I think it addresses a lot of the questions that a lot of people out there have. So let's go through this one by one. So let's start by talking about sheet music. This is kind of the never-ending debate when it comes to memorizing tunes is, should you start with the music in front of you or not? So my answer is that it's kind of a hybrid approach. When it comes to the melody, I am a full supporter that you should never have the music in front of you. And the reason is simply that melodies are pretty easy to figure out with your ears, right? And if you're not that well versed in ear training, this is actually a great place to start, is figure out melodies by ear. So the way that I do this is whatever tune I'm trying to memorize, I'll put on my favorite recording of it, and I will get to the point where I can actually sing along with one of my favorite artists playing the melody to this tune. Now, the reason that I say you should be able to sing it is that you really need to have the pitches and the rhythmic element to it down in order to reproduce it with your voice. So that's the first step to learning. I mean, reproducing it with your voice at first is probably easier than reproducing it with your instrument. So do that first. That does require a lot of work and listening to it over and over and over again until you can faithfully reproduce the sound that your favorite artist is making with your voice. And you don't need to be a fantastic singer. You don't need to nail every single pitch to do this. I'm just talking about being able to faithfully reproduce it closely with your voice before you pick up your instrument. Now, this is great in a bunch of different ways because if you have it memorized, then you can honestly pick up your instrument and try to reproduce this melody without the recording on in the background. If you've really done your job and studied the recording enough, you actually don't need it in order to figure it out on your instrument. You've got it filed away in your head. You know that you're reproducing it faithfully, so you can go right to your instrument and figure out the entire melody. Now, this is really important because the melodies need to be down. They need to be like unquestionable. If you can't play the melody, you're going to not really stand a chance of playing the tune. After all, if you're a horn player or something like that, you have to state that melody before you go into the rest of the tune. So get the melody down first. Now it comes to chord changes. It's different. You have to be really, really advanced to be able to figure out chord changes by ear. This is a really advanced skill that is probably going to come to you down the road a little bit. I would be very impressed if a lot of you out there could figure out chord changes. It's one of the hardest things that I do when I'm trying to transcribe a tune is figure out those chord changes. So when it comes to learning the chord changes, yeah, pull out the real book or pull out some kind of reference point and then start to work off of that. Again, though, the goal is to get your head out of that real book as soon as possible. So this is where the piano part of it comes in. Yes, I fully support everybody owning a keyboard of some kind. And Bob even says you don't need a $30,000 Steinway. In fact, you don't even need anything that's a couple $100. You could go out and get the cheapest keyboard you could find on Craigslist and use that to start. Then if you get into piano playing and you want to buy something that's a little bit nicer with weighted keys, go for it. But having the ability to plunk out notes and chords on a keyboard is one of the core skills for any musician, not just a jazz musician. There's a reason that no matter what instrument you play, when you major in music in college, you have to take piano courses. You have to have that core competency of playing piano at least a little bit in order to get by as a musician and a teacher or really anything that has to do with music. Piano is it. Everybody has to be able to play at least a little bit of piano. And I know that's something that not a lot of you want to hear, but it's absolutely true. You got to be able to do it. Plus, playing piano is super fun. Anyways, let's get back to what we were talking about. So as you're learning the chord changes, it would be a great idea to not only outline them on your instrument, but to also be able to sit down at the piano and at least play roots so that your ears can hear that root movement. Because a lot of this has to do with the connection between your analytical mind and your natural ability to hear music and reproduce that. There's a really kind of a happy medium that you need to achieve between sort of having the chord changes filed away in your analytical mind and then also being able to hear them. And again, this is not easy, so don't get discouraged if the ear side comes really, really slowly to you, or even if the analytical side comes really, really slowly to you. You've got to be able to do both, and that takes a lot of time on your part. Again, like I said last week, memorizing tunes is one of the most difficult things for me, and I know it is also for a lot of you out there. So thanks a lot, Bob, for that email. I think that addresses a lot of the questions that a lot of our listeners are going to have. So thanks for giving me the chance to address those and do somewhat of a part 2 on this memorizing tunes thing. It's also important to know that these are just suggestions. If something else works a lot better for you when it comes to memorizing tunes, by all means, do that. These are just some of the methods that I've used that have proved to be successful in my musical career and in my process of memorizing as many tunes as I possibly can, which again is one of the most important things for all jazz musicians out there. We're expected to know a certain list of tunes that every jazz musician should have filed away in their minds. And in fact, I think I'm going to create a list for all of you Patreon members out there of essential tunes that I believe that everybody should know. And that could give you a really, really good starting place as far as coming up with that core list that you have to know, that a place you should start before you go on to learning hundreds of tunes out there. All right. So take it slow. If anybody else has any comments or questions, I'd be happy to do more episodes on this because I think that this has really hit a nerve with our listeners. I've gotten several other emails from people about this topic of memorizing tunes. All right. So go out there, get on your instrument this week, do some practicing, have an inspired week, and remember to go and check out our sponsor, Rejuvenate. Thanks to them for sponsoring the podcast, supporting us, and thanks to them for making a really, really great product that I believe in 100%. All right, talk to you on Friday. We will see you then. Bye.